We are at the Holy Spirit University, where I serve as the senior attorney and senior advisor for public policies. First of all, as I know from the International Maronite Foundation, that you came from Australia. Who's from Australia? Canada. Dear citizens. From South Africa. I have my uncle there. From Colombia. I have cousins too, from Curry family. Yes, and from other country, from Venezuela, then Argentina, then from Brazil, France, UK, Mexico, then USA. Then today and Peru. Then the Mexico, yes. You're the most welcome in your country, your motherland, the land of the cedars. As you know, we have to discuss and elaborate the constitutional and legal situation in Lebanon. I said situation because it's a dilemma. Because we have problems, troubles, we had the war, we had the fighting between the communities, and Lebanon has been occupied by Syria, Israel. As you know, you're not in politics, I think. Someone of you is specializing in law or politics in USA. Which university? Université de Montréal. Ça me fait plaisir. Je fais 2 certificats là-bas. Il y a un certificat de Air and Space Law en 99, je crois. In politics and political science at the same time. Great. At the same university? It's my university. Yes. I got my master's degree in international business law from the University of Ottawa. Then, what do you know about the constitutional regime in Lebanon? What do you know? First, it's a civil regime. Then, no religious affiliations for the state, for the institutions, or for the political regime. But we have something very special to Lebanon. What is this? It's a civil regime. Then, it's based on confessional affiliations. Then, the Lebanese are divided pacifically between communities. You can be elected as president, but you have to be Christian Maronite. It's nice, right? To be the Speaker of the Parliament, you have to be Muslim Shiite. To be the Prime Minister, it's a machine, the mobile, yes. The Prime Minister has to be a Muslim Sunni. The Council of Ministers will be divided equally between Muslims and Christians. It's called the diversity of Lebanon between the communities. It's something very special to this country. In other countries, it's been implemented and implementing, but more discreet. Here it's obvious. And, as Lebanese and Maronite at the same time, and proud to be both, we have to save this diversity because the state is civil, but we have to save the diversity because we have a big problem of numbers. We have a big problem of surrounders, okay? The neighbors. You understand what I mean? We have a big majority of non-Christians all over in the region. The constitutional system in Lebanon, there is no laptop, but I can just... First of all, the Lebanese constitution were established on 1926, after the proclamation of the Great Lebanon by the French authorities omnipresented here in Lebanon. This constitution is one of the most modern in the region, and still modern, even we need to promote some ideas just to adjust ourselves to the standardization movement in the world. Actually, when Tunisia, after the revolution, wanted to make a new constitution, they got the help and the know-how from the United Nations, from the United States, from the European Union, just to take some international ideas and principles and norms. And these norms have to be incorporated into the constitutional text. The Lebanese constitution guarantees, first, the basic individual rights. Second, the freedoms, religious, beliefs, political. It's different from our neighbors. It's different. 3, provides for a parliamentary system of government where you have a president of the republic, and the presidency is not a protocol post. It's something very executive. Then you have the parliament, then you have the government. And the 3 authorities and powers have to cooperate. Okay? No one can take something vital or strategic, okay, with budget, with nominations, with vision, with norms, with decrees, with laws. You have to get the approval of these authorities. I don't want to enter into procedure now, but just because the president has some rights of veto on some laws and decrees, and the parliament is sovereign, but on a parliamentary form of government, the executive and the president have some privileges. It's like in the United States, called check and balances. Here we have not the check, but we have the balances on constitution and in politics. Do you know when the Great Lebanon has been proclaimed? When the Great Lebanon? No? On 1920, after the defeat of the Ottoman authorities in Lebanon, the French came to Beirut, okay, under the auspices of the League of Nations. And the French authorities governed the Lebanese entity. On 1920, the Great Lebanon, the state of Great Lebanon, has been proclaimed in Lebanon, in Beirut. Then the Constitution has been established on 1926. Then on 1943, the independence of Lebanon without the French authorities. And we have some modifications to the Constitution due to the new look of the regime, where no French authorities, where no occupation. It was the independence of Lebanon proclaimed on 1943. In this constitution, we have many principles. On the top comes the principle of equality. Equality between citizens, equality among people, okay? And equality between the communities and the representation on the parliament, on the government, on the administration, on the embassies. Then we have two versions of principle of equality. Equality between people, between citizens, then equality among the communities in the representation, political representation, administrative representation. The unique characteristics of the Lebanese constitution is its requirement to have the religious communities represented. Then no one, if not affiliated to a religious community, can be provided or get a public post. Unfortunately, but it's the reality. Then we have some federation system, but not very obvious. In the Constitution, too, we have the principle of separation of powers. When the president is elected by the parliament for 6 years. 6 years and final point. There is no another 6 years, except under the Syrian regime where the Lebanon were occupied by Syria. كانوا بدهم يشبهونا بحالهم. Then you have the parliament elected for 4 years. For 4 years, a new electoral law were promulgated on last June, where we have what's called some marriage between the proportional system and the uninominal system. It's complicated, but it's better than in the past. Then you have the government. The government has to take the confidence from the parliament to stay alive. If not, it will be without the confidence of the parliament, and it has to be what? if the government lost the confidence of the parliament. Even in France, even in Canada, even everywhere. It's a fact, the demission of the government, because on a parliamentary system, the government take its powers from the parliament. It's not elected directly from the people. Now in the parliament we have 128 deputies. It's a huge number for Lebanon. Huge numbers. Just because we have the balances to share the powers. It's a discrete version of corruption in politics. Why? Because the power is divided between nonsense people. How many congressmen we have in the United States? How many? Sorry? How many congressmen we have in Canada? Like, we have 100 senators appointed by the Prime Minister, and we have like 365 members of Parliament. In Lebanon, we have 128 for around 4 millions, and 2 millions coming from Syria now. We have, for 4 millions, we have 128 deputies. It's a huge number. And it will be reflected in the parliament by some unproductivity legislations, norms, control. What can the president do in Lebanon? He has many major powers before. Yes. But actually, he still has some powers, but limited. After Taif agreement and after the fighting between Christians, in somehow, we lost the war. We did defend, and coming from this university, the Lebanese Front, the Lebanese Maronite Front, to defend the freedoms, the liberties, the principle of diversity. Many Christians were killed to save the freedom in Lebanon, to save the presence, the free presence of Christians in Lebanon. And because thousands of people, of Lebanese, Maronite, were killed in Lebanon, you are here. And we can speak freely. We can talk. We can elaborate. Our church is still here. Our convents. Because, even the cross in Lebanon has been in danger under the war between 1975 and 1989. Actually, the president is a full partner in power. He can do something, between brackets, because he appoints the prime minister after consultancies with the parliament, and he has to sign on the formation of the government. Then no government without the signature of the president of Lebanon. about the religious community's participation in the government and the administration. It's something related to the spirit of the Lebanese regime. On my point of view, as in point of view of the Maronite Patriarchate, the International Maronite Foundation, the Maronite League, Lebanon has to save this diversity. If not, the freedoms in Lebanon will be in danger because we have a huge majority in Lebanon and around it. And it's a reality. It's a reality. I don't tell you this because here it's something close. I did say this on TV, on medias. It's something related to the spirit of the Lebanese regime. Without the religious diversity, Lebanon, as you know it, will be in danger. Because the extremism is fully equipped, is fully surround us here in Syria, in Iraq, in Yemen, everywhere, even in Europe, even in Canada, even everywhere. And it's something related to the development of some extremist schools. And the Christian presence in Lebanon still something very strong, but we are strong if the Lebanese Maronite Christian diaspora is strong too, and is related to Lebanon, is related to the Lebanese causes, to the Christian presence and elements. Actually, as I know, you will be the missionaries, the ambassadors of Lebanon in the world, of the characteristics of your church, of you will be very loyal to one who were killed to the freedoms of Lebanon. If you have some questions, I'm ready. Thanks for your attention. Please, your name and coming from Canada, I know. Do you have a microphone? Do you have another one? Avec plaisir.
Tamara Azam in Canada.
من مونريال.
Montreal. I just want to know more about women's representation in the Lebanese parliament. In Canada, we have 88 women as deputies, so I just want to know more about the Lebanese.
Yes, it's in law it's open, because as I said,
but we don't see
stressed on the equality of people, equality between all peoples, from all education stage, no difference between sex, between gender, between
Can I?
Then the woman can access to the public. But in reality, we're still in
Is it because the women...
very bad situation, actually. Actually, we have 4 women. We have, from the north, we have Sitrida Jaja. In Kisarwain, we have Gilbert Zwain. We have Bahia Al-Hariri. Actually, عندنا إلى 20 in Beirut. عندنا إلى 20 in Beirut. We have 4. We have 4. Yes, I hope so.
But like, I think that women are not really active into Lebanese politics.
They are. They are very active, even in political political parties. But we have to go in crescendo, because we had the war, we had the problems, we have the Syrian occupation. And the civil society couldn't go forward to move and to make some renovation of the political situation in Lebanon. Please.
The civil society represented by Beirut Madinati did make a difference since we got 40% in the last elections. So this is crescendo, but the decrescendo is when the new law that has been elaborated has no quota in it. Because in a utopic world where women have rights, it's fine not to have any quota. But we live in a third world country, and we need our basic rights, so quota is the minimum. So we're not, but we're not going in a crescendo in any way. And the new law that has been elaborated smashed any tiny chance of women actually being represented if their husband wasn't in politics and died, or their dad wasn't in politics and had to stop.
You're right. But plus, we can add, the whole situation of Lebanon is not good. First of all, because the new generation, in all and all, cannot access to the parliament because the money, the bad money, and then the problems of the family representation continuing to dominate the political scene. Even in the political Christian parties, we have the problem of the son-in-law, the brothers. It's a big problem. Then, if the problems of women are not the sole problem, we have many other problems to promote the political situation and the political representation in Lebanon on all levels, even in administration, where the talents are not here. They don't come to be ambassador, general manager, general director. Why? Because the corruption is dominating the political life in Lebanon. And sorry to say that, the ignorance of someone in politics and administration is a good point for them, but very bad point for Lebanon, for the future of Lebanon, and for the incorporation of the new generations. Please.
Bonjour, Antoine in Canada. So in Canada, to change the constitution, you need something like 60% of the votes and 10 out of 13 provinces to make it go through. In Lebanon, شو لازم يصير تغير الconstitution?
To modify the constitution? It's different from Canada, because in Canada you have the rights of provinces.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
But here, what does it
Here
take
in Lebanon is different, because we are not on federal system. We are on federal system called federal system concerning the related to the community's representation in the government. But on political and constitutional stage, we are not a federal state. We hope to do it one day. Allah yarham Zahi. We hope to do it because it's something very modern, very transparent, and can save the diversity. But actually, to modify the constitution, we have to make some consensus between the communities, between the political parties, even some interferences from Syria, from Iran, from Saudi Arabia, from France. It's
so it has to be 100%.
Sorry.
So everyone has to agree on it to change.
To change the constitution is 75% of the yes.
So in order to change the fact that the president
not of the present, of the parliamentary present on the session, of the initial numbers of the deputies.
Okay, so
by example, actually, we have the parliament is composed of 125 deputies. Okay? When we have to modify the constitution, we have to unify 75% of the deputies of 128, not 125. It's very difficult.
Okay, so to change the fact that the president has to be Maronite, we need, let's say, 95 people to vote against it.
Against two? To what? Sorry, I don't.
Yeah, the
To
law.
change the president?
No, I mean to change in the constitution that the president has to be Maronite. You need 95 or 100 people to vote against it.
The
It can change any day.
the community of the president, you know?
إنه لازم الرئيس يكون ماروني مظبوط.
No, it's on Taif agreement.
Okay, so في حيالله شخص يغيرها ولا؟
لا, Taif agreement is some national consensus.
Okay, هي ما بتتغير يعني.
It's incorporated into the constitution, not into the text, but into the spirit of the constitution, because the new constitution modified by Taif agreement. They cannot do it. It's not easy to do it, especially when the two major communities of Muslims are fighting. Please.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Mariel Elias from Argentina. In Argentina, we have three powers to govern the country. One power is called the justice power. And we know in Lebanon, the politics things and the religions things go side by side. And my question is, how do you administrate the justice things? Because I don't know if all religions have the same just laws and the justice principles. I don't know. It's okay. It's okay.
I have to adjust some ideas. Politics and confessional representation go side by side, not religion. Hopefully, all confessional Christians are very, very practical. Hopefully. It's not a problem of faith, unfortunately. In the past, it was. Actually, it's something related to the confessional representation. In justice, it's different because the justice is implementing the civil law in Lebanon, the civil law coming from the parliament. But as you know, the politics is interfering into justice, not on confessional basis only, on for many other reasons. And the corruption is omnipresent, unfortunately. Please.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Francesca from Peru.
Peru.
Yes. I want to know your opinion on this. Now, listening the way powers are divided in the government. How much do you think religion, and this goes in line with what Ariel asked, how much do you think religion influences the decisions the government make related to human rights?
In Lebanon?
Yeah, exactly.
The human rights are very well saved in the text. Not in the constitution, and the legal text, like laws, decrees, norms, everything. Practically, after the war, the situation is not very well. It's not very well. It's not related to the representation of confessions or communities. It's related to the spirit coming from the militia spirit and from the Syrian presence in Lebanon, how they did react with the differences in politics, in ideas, in beliefs. Then the situation legally is Lebanon, Charles Malik signed Declaration of Human Rights on behalf of Lebanon in 1948. And Lebanon is an effective member of the High Commissioner Committee for Human Rights. But actually, the practices are not very well. It's the truth. Please.
Hello, I'm Samir from Ecuador.
From Ecuador?
Ecuador, yeah. You mentioned at the beginning the importance of the diversity of religions in the political powers, but what about if there's a more qualified person of other religion to have the task of president or head of the parliament, and you cannot know now because you are only waiting for the person of this religion specifically?
Actually, the laws of Lebanon recognized 18 communities. 18 communities. By example, the Baha'i community is not recognized in Lebanon. Do you know about it? The Baha'i community. It's coming from Iran. It's not Muslims, nor Christian, neither Jewish. It's something special. It's not recognized. Someone from the Baha'i community cannot access to the public administration and politics in Lebanon because the Lebanese diversity recognized the representation of the communities equally in the government, in the parliament, in the administration. Yes, from your point of view, I understand your point of view. Very well. I fully agree with you. But when you're in Lebanon, you're inside the realities of Lebanon. You cannot accept to move because it's something related to the existence of Christians in Lebanon, not to the presence of them. And it's very, very different. If the representation of the communities is not saved on the Constitution, and practically the existence of Christians will be in danger. And I can tell this openly. It's a reality, it's a fact. For that reason, our Maronite church, historically till now, is still attached to the diversity because we have a big problem on that stage. Last question, please, because my friend Dr. Hayek is coming and we have to leave. Please? Please. Please.
Hi, Ali Khalil from USA.
Where in USA?
Los Angeles, California.
Los Angeles. Oh.
If you were to compare our third world country government to another first world country's government, who do you think we best follow as far as morals and politics? And if you think we are completely unique from every other first world country in our government, then do you think following another country's footsteps would bring us up to becoming a first world country ourselves?
In the third world, Lebanon, just to make to compare it?
Yes. Compare it to any other country that you think
I can compare it to Switzerland. It's not a third world, but by the constitution, the federal constitution, based on, not on Catholic and Protestant, but on provinces. All provinces, all cantons in Switzerland, has to agree on some kind of laws. Right? Did you know about the magic characteristics of Switzerland?
I know they print our money, right?
Sorry?
We print our Lebanese pounds in Switzerland, right?
It's, I know it's we have big differences between Lebanon and Switzerland. I know, but just because on the third world you have the sole and unique religion, or sole and unique political party, like in Syria, in Iraq, under Saddam Hussein, or like in Saudi Arabia or Iran, where you have the religion only, and everything is coming from that concept. In Lebanon, it's different. It's different. You have not religious affiliations of the state, but you have the confessional representation in the government, and it's very different. On the third world, I cannot compare it. I can compare the Lebanese characteristics of our system to the Swiss one, Switzerland one. هيك بنطلع لقدام. Thanks for your time.
لا بباريس طلعت